People ask me all the time, how do I figure out how much to charge for my barbecue? If you are doing a pop-up, if you're doing a catering, if you are just trying to get a handle on your food costs at your food truck, at your restaurant, whatever you're doing, we're going to go over how to charge the right amount, how to figure out where all your money is going, and how to calculate your food costs. Here we go. We're back with another Money Matters video. Last time we talked about yield, how to test the yield of a brisket, how to get the most you possibly can out of one brisket, what we do to use every single piece of the brisket. Now we're actually going to put numbers to those yields. We're going to discuss where the money goes, how to calculate the cost, the food cost, the real true food cost of one item, and then how to calculate your overall food cost, your total food cost, and then how to compare those two. Here we go. Please excuse again the poor penmanship. That's just me. $6.49 a pound is what we pay for brisket. It's very expensive. Akaushi beef. A lot of people are paying in the $3.50, $4 range. Ours is more expensive. We charge more for it. We'll get to that in a little bit. We talked about how we get a 36% yield if we don't use any of the trim, okay? How do we calculate what to charge from our yield? We take the difference of our percentage, right? So 36 minus 100 is 64. We're gonna go 1.64, which is the difference, times our price, times our initial price of what we paid, times 1.64, that's gonna get us 1064. Okay, that is the real price, what we would pay for the actual cooked brisket if we threw all of the scraps away. Okay, then we would calculate our price off of that number, in which we would have to charge at least $40 a pound. We'll get to how much and how to charge in just a second. So 74% yield is what we get when we use all of this stuff. Remember, we got burgers, we got Crispies, we got rendered fat. So all that came to a 74% yield. We're going to take the difference of that, 1.26, times our initial price. That's going to get $8.17 a pound. Okay, how do we figure out how much we should charge once we have our real cost of what our brisket is? It's very simple. If you want a 25% food cost, which is kind of what people aim for, you're going to multiply what your true cost is times 4, okay? That's going to give you a 25%. And that for us is $32 a pound, which is what we charge for brisket. If you want a 33% food cost, you multiply that times 3. If you want a 20% food cost, you multiply that times 5. So $32 a pound, 25%. That's with everything calculated. We do know that we get 6 burgers out of one brisket at a half pound each. We charge $14 for them, which would be $28 a pound. So that's not necessarily exactly as much as we need to, but remember, this is the raw weight. With everything calculated out, the brisket burgers at raw weight are going to be almost the same as the cooked brisket at the cooked weight. Rendered fat, we're not going to sell that exactly, so we don't really count anything we get from that. We're just going to go 0 on that. Okay, the Crispies go into chili. We are going to sell those for $5 for a 4-ounce portion. Our chili, our medium chili, which is an 8 ounce, is going to be half Fritos, half chili. Keep in mind, this $32 a pound is just the cost for the meat itself. It's not the cost for the pickles, for the bread, for the sauce, for the butcher paper, for the gloves. Okay, all that stuff has to go into what your food cost is. If you are calculating your food costs and you don't feel right charging a certain amount over a certain amount, you are going to charge basically as much as you possibly think you can. A lot of times that is going to not work out to the exact percentage that you think it's going to or that you want it to, right? Your food cost is going to be higher on brisket. For a lot of people, 40, 45%. That is what we call a loss leader, okay? That means it brings people in, but you're not making a ton of money off of it. And that's really what brisket is for us, right? So you're going to make your money off of other items. How do we do that? We took the per pound price off of all of our meats. We just removed that visual choice from people. We're still selling by the pound, half pound, quarter pound, but we removed the visual choice from people so they don't just come up and order half a pound and then walk away. We don't want to sell half a pound of barbecue to people and then nothing else. We want to sell them a quarter or a third of pound of barbecue plus hash and rice, plus cabbage and sausage, plus chili and Fritos. That's where we make our money, off of our other items. So we remove the menu prices. You can get clever about menu design, where you put different items on there. We also added a deluxe Frito pie and a loaded pork hash. Those are things that we have around, that we have trouble moving, that we have really good low food costs on, and we put those in bold, underlined, designed at the top of the menu so it draws people's attention to them. So we have people's attention going to things that we have a very low food cost on, and then we also have our meats where people are just going to come up and order them by the half pound, quarter pound anyway. We don't have the price displayed on those. They will just come up and order it anyway. So we don't have the price displayed on that. We're going to visually force them to order by the sandwich or by the plate. So that's going to help our food costs. That alone brought our cost down by like 5%. You figure out your cost of every single item. You want your total to be between 25 and 33%. How do you figure out the total? Well, you take all of the costs, right? You have the average of all of your food costs, and you're going to compare that to your total food cost. Your total food cost, you're going to take your starting inventory. We're going to go over inventory in a different video, okay? How to do it efficiently, how to set it up, how to set up a nice little spreadsheet. We're going to take some numbers. These are real numbers just from a couple weeks ago. We started with a starting inventory, $3,872.89. That's a typical, if not a little more than typical, starting inventory for us. We typically carry about $3,000 worth of inventory. This is a pre-Thanksgiving week, so we have a lot of Thanksgiving sales in here. We also have a lot of Thanksgiving stuff on the shelf from here. Orders, we ordered $4,117.12 worth of food. Add those two together, that is our total starting inventory. We're going to subtract our ending inventory from that. This we have on Monday. This is Sunday night. So after everything's been ordered, prepped, sold, Monday we start with a number, and then Sunday we finish with a different number, okay? We started with this, then we ordered that, and then this is what we were left over with at the end of the week, $3,382.94. We're going to take starting inventory plus orders minus ending inventory. We're going to take that and divide it by our sales. Our sales for that week, $14,394.50. That is going to give us a cost percentage of 32%. That's pretty good. We have been, when we very first started, we were way up, 60%. Brought it down 50s, 40s, 30s. So as we went on, we slowly got a better grasp on our food costs, slowly figured these things out, how to arrange the menu, how to price things out, how to visually draw people's eyes toward things we want them to buy, how to set our menu up in a way that everything works cohesively together to where we order in the pig and then we get hash and we get skin and we get stock and we get all this other stuff from that. We get sausage. So we've set up our menu to work symbiotically and cohesively with each other. So you take food costs of each item, of your brisket, of your cheeks, of your hash and rice, you average all those out. Then you take your total food costs, you figure out what those are, and then you compare the two. If they are very close, then you're probably not losing any money or any food anywhere. If they are way off, then you're probably losing something somewhere. Something's either going into the trash, something's getting eaten, something hopefully not getting stolen. The way a chef explained it to me when I was very young was you got 1 times 1 for your cost, times 2 for your labor, times 3 for your fixed cost, keep the lights on, and then times 4 for profit. That's just a very simple explanation for it. I don't even know if that makes sense or is true, but that's just how somebody explained it to me one time. So a larger operation, more labor, more food coming through, pumping through. I mean, this is going to be the same no matter what, right? You're going to determine on your own when to do inventory. We do it weekly because we want to keep a very close eye on our food costs, because every time we don't, it goes up. It's very easy to just order too much, to throw some stuff away, to not look at your bank account. Everybody knows if you don't look at your bank account, then it doesn't matter, right? No, it still matters. The money is leaving, and then before you know it, you're negative, and I've been there all too often. At the very end of the day, this is just how you figure out all of your costs. The difference is just the volume, right? A place like Franklin, a place like Terry Black's, a place like La Barbecue, the majority of everything they're doing is brisket. So it's going to be, their brisket cost has to be right on point, and they have to be, or hopefully they're using all their scraps to go to something, or they're getting their briskets, trimmed in a certain way to where they're not losing a lot on waste. Things like pork or like pork butt, they want to sell a lot of that because it's super cheap. Things like ribs are, not that expensive. So when we first started, there was, we were changing the menu all the time. We had different cuts on all the time. We had different sides coming in all the time. And we were just doing our food costs maybe like once a month. And it was just completely out of control. We were getting lambs, we were getting rabbits, we were getting all this specialty stuff in. And we didn't have a place for the extras to go, and we weren't selling out because we were just in a dirt lot and Cosmic wasn't open yet, and the cost was just out of control. So year by year, little by little, step by step, we got a handle on our costs. We understood more completely how to use everything. We understood that everything had to have a second place to go to, had a second use to go to. We understood that we had to be very close on budget. Sawyer should be in on this talk too, because she is the one who makes all the budget, right? And that is predicting how much we think we're going to sell based on how much we've sold in prior years, in prior months and weeks, what events we think we have coming up, what the weather's going to look like. All those things go into our prediction of what we are going to sell. So we have what our predicted sales are, then we take a percentage of that and we have a budget based on that. So our budget, right, if it's 25 or if it's 33% of that projected sales, we have to stick to that for our order number. And if we go over that, then we better hope our sales are going to be over that too. If we go over that, then our sales are not there, then our food cost is going to go up. Okay, in summation, in closing, this is very important for any size business, large business, small business, especially if you are spending a lot on high cost ingredients like we are, right? Sometimes if it is during a busy season, we know the sales are going to be there, so we can be a little more lax with the budget and we can order more and we're not going to sell out. But we're coming up on January, February, it's going to be cold. We don't really know what the weather's going to be like. Like today, for example, thought it was going to be cold, had a limited amount of beef cheeks going into the day. It was nice out, sold out very, very quickly. Same thing with burgers. So we all want to cook the best food, of course. The idea of something not being good enough and just throwing it away, though, that's also not acceptable. We have to make the money work to be able to do what we want to do. We have to be able to make money. We have to make the numbers work in order to cook the foods that we want to cook, to serve the interesting dishes we want to serve, to source where we want to source. We have to make sure all the numbers line up in order to do the other stuff. Additionally, we're getting in really expensive things. Each of these animals had a life. The farmer has grown these vegetables from the ground. Somebody's picked them. We want to make sure that we're using every little bit we possibly can and not wasting anything and not throwing anything away. From a financial and an ethical standpoint and a business standpoint, you just got to get the numbers right.